Welcome everyone to the meeting CI for Meshery. Here we discuss topics and issues related to the continuous integration and continuous deployment in the Meshery project. Please, if you have not put your name in the attendees list, please do it. And the first topic to cover this meeting is about the Cove, how to implement unit testing in the code coverage. This subject was added by Lee. I think he's just joined us. Hey Lee, what's going on?
Hey guys. Hey. Good. Hey, it's been wow. I've had a half an hour over the last 7 hours that weren't on a call. So good. A lot of stuff getting done though. Lots of people here making stuff happen. One of those things that's happening is Dhruv, Piyush, and Abhishek will be joining here momentarily, I'm sure. It'll be good for them to hear part of this on CodeCove. As you're teeing up agenda, if we could, there are a couple of other items I'd like to slap onto the agenda. One is, so we have announced, okay, yeah, you think you have the issue about Meshery release notes. Good, the auto documentation of Meshery release notes. There are two other auto documentation, there's three other auto documentation items. So one is for GraphQL API docs, REST API docs, and then there's an error codes utility that generates error code documentation as well. So we've got a lot of auto documentation things going on.
I see. Let me add those.
Okay, you know all of them. I beat you.
Thanks.
Cool. And then maybe since those other guys are just joining, maybe if we start with the auto, if we start with something other than those three, which kind of involve them. Cool. Gautam is on. Jibril, Piyush, Abhishek, beneath.
We don't have an issue for this one, right? Yet.
I don't know. Piyush can't speak at the moment, but he is going to answer that question in chat. I don't know if I think he might have created an issue for CodeCove. Piyush will link to it in the chat if so. So okay, since we're talking about it, maybe I'll. By the way, I know Rodolfo would have said this already, but for the other 12 people that are on the call, record your name down if you would. It's good to get credit for being here. And then
So
Rodolfo.
I think, yeah, sorry.
Nope. And I'm just gonna say I'll be quiet and let you back to the wheel.
Okay, great. So I think we can start with the first topic for today. And there is an issue for releasing the release notes in Meshery. This issue has been faced for a couple of months, I think, and we cannot fix that. And the issue is here. This week, I will give another try in order to fix this one. It could be the path token of the GitHub or the GitHub action behavior, maybe. But yeah, I will I will give another try to this one this weekend. I hope that I can solve that.
Yeah, it's been like permissions have been what has plagued this area. So I don't know.
Yeah, I will give a try this weekend. Hopefully, I can solve it.
Nice.
Also, I have pending this issue that is have a measured development environment on AWS. Here I think we have like two options. One is use easy tools to deploy their Kubernetes and then Meshery, or we can use EKS, that is AWS service for Kubernetes, that we already have there a Kubernetes runner, and we only need to install Meshery there. And I think is EKS uses EC2 instances also, so I think it's a good option. But yeah, I will continue with this after fixing the release notes,
Nice.
because
Yeah.
I
As a
think,
matter of fact,
sorry, I only want to
you-
say that it's important to have Meshery in a development environment.
yeah, agreed. The that particular request was in part to help out Austin, who just couldn't get Meshery running locally. Austin, his internship ended, and so he hung out for some time. And it isn't here at the moment, so it's probably of lesser priority. Actually, one of the things that's of higher priority is Helm chart publishing. We are we're yet to successfully automate the building of the Helm charts and their publishing, and that's something we could talk about next. Like and that would be for Abhishek to speak to.
Okay. So basically, we've got. I'll just copy the topic here. Right. Okay. So the issue here is that we've got Helm charts for Meshery and its components. Example adapters, and in the future we'll be having it for other components as well, like Meshery operator and Meshsic. So the idea is to auto publish Helm charts for these, and let me just quickly share my screen. So so the charts are present in here, basically under install inside Kubernetes Helm Meshery. So the chart is currently present here for all the Helm charts, and we'll need a CI constructed, or a GitHub action that would basically package these Helm charts and then publish it to uh, our Helm hub, which is hosted in meshery.io inside charts folder. So this is where the list of uh, such Helm charts are being published, versioned and published. So we'll need an automation system which would auto increment version and publish it in here. So
I
I'll
see.
post both the links on the doc for reference.
I think we have discussed this before, right? I think Aisuku was trying to do that with an GitHub action. I am not what is the status of that. Do you know something, Lee?
Yeah, Abhishek, I do too
Um,
much. And Abhishek, do you want to talk to it?
yeah, actually, Asuka started to work on it. So I'm not sure if it is complete, but let me just pull that up.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been an outstanding item for a while. Like Asuko has originally been the person to authored the original Helm chart, and its publishing has been manual ever since. We've never had all of our adapters covered in the Helm charts. Each adapter is supposed to have its own Helm chart, and I don't think to date we don't have all adapters covered. So we're in a bad situation there. We're in a bad situation where the Helm charts are not being auto released, and they should be. They don't need a version number auto incremented or auto generated. No, not at all. All they need is the same version number, the same release number that comes from a Meshery release. So that version number where it says, like that chart was version 2.1.2, that's, forget about that. Let's make them the same as Meshery itself. There's no need for us to track a different version number for the charts. While that's possible, we don't need to do it. The charts can have the same version number as the Meshery release that contain them. So we've been through, it's been months of people on and off. Actually, Abhishek, if you could continue to share your screen and maybe point out some of the things that I'm highlighting, which is like right now, there's 3 open PRs for testing out the automated publishing of Helm charts, which is just to show like various people have tried to advance this and get it done. There are a number of pre-existing GitHub actions that are readily available for people for us to integrate into our workflows. And I've personally tried 4 of them, I think 3 or 4 of them. And each one I end up getting snagged on a couple of things. One is either the action doesn't like the way in which we've laid out our charts. So that URL that is being highlighted right now, that's where we publish our charts. So we publish our charts in a separate repo in the meshery.io repo. That's where the charts are published, the built charts. The source for the charts, that's in the Meshery repo. Meshery repo is source, meshery.io is where they're published. Now, along with all this, a lot of times people will go to artifacthub.io and find applications to install using Helm from artifacthub.io. Meshery is listed out there. It references where to find the published charts in the appropriate place in the meshery.io repo. So one of the actions doesn't like how the charts are laid out. The charts are laid out such that there's a folder called charts, and in that, so Meshery as an application, Meshery server doesn't really, it has its own chart kind of, but kind of not. There are subcharts, Meshery adapters that are subcharts that one of the actions doesn't like. Unfortunately, that action is the only one that's been successful in terms of building the source charts from the Meshery repo and then pushing them to the remote published repo in meshery.io. It successfully does that. It just doesn't do it right now for the Meshery server chart because it doesn't like the fact that there are embedded charts. The other actions that we've tried don't seem to mind that, but we don't have success with them in writing out to a remote repo. Asuko had started writing a custom action, which suffers various issues. So it just continues to be an open item. And on this, we're not so much looking for a volunteer. Abhishek, this is on your plate. I'm looking to you to get this done.
Okay.
So having described all that, hopefully that makes sense to everybody. That's what Abhishek is going to be doing. It's too important to leave for open for volunteers for months and months and months and months. We have users that come by who try to use Helm and it just falls over. They have a bad interaction with Meshery to start with. So good. It's an important item. Hopefully that recap just is helpful for everybody. I'm sure that Abhishek will engage with anyone who wants to participate and help advance things. But... All right, next. It's Code Cove.
Yeah, Cove. I think this is related to we need unit testing, right?
Yeah. And I hate to say it, but this is one that I'll speak to, I think, because Piyush isn't able to use his mic at the moment. but but one of the things that Piyush is focused on is bringing forth unit tests to Meshery CTL. Very much so needed. Every time that someone does a change in Meshery CTL, there's a bunch of manual testing that go on for that people try to make sure that things are still functioning well. And we should start to eliminate that by getting unit tests going on. Our tests, by the way, we have layers of tests. We have unit integration and functional tests. And so Piyush is, well, beginning to outline kind of the approach to Meshery CTL unit testing and how we write those and what tests we should write. And there's just ends up being kind of, there'll be a nice standard set. As we do that, whenever we build Meshery CTL, we should probably invoke those unit tests as well. And that's, extremely common practice, not a challenge to do. Okay, well, like part of invoking those unit tests at build time for Meshery CTL in the workflow, well, probably it's an opportunity for us to bring in an app, an integration, Cove. Anybody use Cove before?
Yeah, I've used.
Mm. Did you find it valuable? Did you think it was what did it do anyway?
It's basically that you can run your unit, like it integrates with your repository, and it gives you the result. It runs code coverage every time you do some changes,
Gotcha. Okay.
and it also kind of provides a badge for a status badge for integrating in your readme or something like that.
So for GitHub, they have a marketplace app that we have authorized already at the organizational level for layer 5 IO, which means that we're ready to start to try to use, integrate this thing, start to use it. Bash uploader. Uh-oh, 0% code coverage. Is that what it's saying?
I think it's connecting.
Oh,
It's sync
No, no,
syncing. No,
it's still zero because we don't have any unit tests at the moment.
I see. Okay. Yeah, we have an integration. We only need to do those those tests.
and so I don't know if there's, geez, other than just turning on Cove like that, does anybody know, is there anything else to configure for Cove? Total coverage 29%, something. What's that about?
Yeah, I don't know why this 29%. It's only in UI. Do you remember that we
Oh
did
yeah.
this for Cypress?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we have 30% in end-to-end test, but zero to unit testing. So we need to fix that.
Wow. So okay, good. So Piyush is open for business, meaning that those that might want to jump into Meshery CTL and to getting some of to taking us from 0 to hopefully past 50%, hopefully more toward 100. Now is your chance to start from ground 0%.
Is this already configured for Cypress?
Yeah, this is already configured for Cypress.
As in, like, is it pushed in master branch, the action file?
The action file, I don't remember well, but I think there is not a GitHub action like that. We only need to link the repo here.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't remember well. I have to review this, Abhishek.
Because the last time I did it, I kind of like configured for Golang and everything. So that's how I know. Like, it could be
Okay,
possible
okay.
that it's automatically done for UI, probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I can take a look of this one if we need to do something else for configure to unit testing and not for Cypress only. Yeah, how to add this one, right? Instead of UI, take Meshery
Yeah.
CTL. Okay, let me figure out that today. Okay, and then we need only to, as Lee said, we need volunteers to start creating unit testing. I think it's a huge goal there.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good way to get into Golang.
Yep.
Basically, it involves a GitHub action that would upload to CodeCov.
Oh, really? Great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Abhishek. I will check that.
Yeah, I think that there's probably multiple ways to configure the. Right now, the CodeCov app. How do I say this? CodeCov, our integration is configured through GitHub App. You can, like a good example is Dependabot used to be configured through GitHub App, and now they've transitioned it to being configured through YAML file in your .github folder. So I think different apps, different things. But both Abhishek and Rodolfo should have an email probably sitting in your inboxes like as of 30 seconds ago about the permission to be able to configure this thing, the GitHub app. So hopefully.
Great. Hopefully that helps better.
Yeah. I think you can transition it to YAML, I guess. Like, but yeah. Anyway, there's some learnings to do. So this is good. You guys will have to take us on the journey with you.
Okay, sounds good. I will take a look today. Right, that. So we can continue with the next topic. Is about the Open API documentation. I think this is something related to Swagger, right?
So Piyush and Dhruv. Dhruv, do you want to take the? Do you want to start? Take people through what's going on and.
Actually, Drew had dropped out
Oh,
because of electricity issues.
okay. Maybe Abhishek, if you would. I feel like I've been talking all day.
Um, I don't have insight on this, but basically, this is to document all the REST APIs of Meshery. Uh, and we are working towards having a open API style documentation, basically something called Swagger, which is a documentation format or a spec for REST APIs. And yeah, like basically, it looks something like this, where I think it's interactive, but currently the one that you're seeing isn't, or is it? Okay. So basically, it describes each and every routes and all of the parameters that that are allowed and etc. So it gives you the whole information about each and every endpoint that are available in Meshery server. So it's a documentation format, and the CI is to auto document all the available all the routes that are in Meshery, and also update them as and when we update the endpoints in the code. Uh,
Great.
yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. This Swagger is work in progress, right?
Sorry, I didn't get that quite.
Yep, that is.
This work is working in progress, right?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Okay. So I think this PR is merged. I can implement this automatization with GitHub Actions and add it to our CI workflow.
Right. Yeah. There's a couple of things to call to action for here. So just for context, because Jubril and Hina and Vineeth and Ayush and Gautam and Anshu and Mert and Vishal and everybody, um, it's not supposed to be this way. The maintainers, Rodolfo and Abhishek, you would imagine that they would be speaking a lot because they're doing a lot, and so great. But also, the reason that you're not all sitting here just to be spoken at, rather, there are many things for you to all do, some of which might be more interesting to you than the next. So only volunteer for stuff that is of interest. On this topic, it's kind of a well, it's really important. It's an important topic, and it's one that we've been missing for a while. It actually affects, like Jubril. I'll call him out as an example. He's trying to make, um, well, he's like others have tried to add new functionality in Meshery CTL. Meshery CTL internally, it's a REST client of Meshery server, and when he goes to do that, his natural question is, okay, great. So where's the Meshery server's REST API documentation so I can get familiar with the APIs and which ones I should call and kind of what their behavior is, what should I expect that they do? And it's like, well, gosh, there's not a great answer for that, or there hasn't been. But Piyush and Devendu, Dhruv and Abhishek and some others have been working on changing that answer for both Meshery server's REST API and its GraphQL API. And Meshery server has both and will continue to have both. GraphQL is, the primary reason for its incorporation is because of well, there's a few different reasons, but we're looking to have GraphQL subscriptions in Meshery UI fairly pervasively, so that the UI is quite fresh all the time, fresh data, great experience. Again, so each of them, Dhruv and Piyush in specific, have gone about, well, trying to get frameworks for documenting the APIs. And so for the REST API, that framework is called Open API Specification. And it's better known as Swagger, is kind of what it's sort of the older name for that specification. And so there's some Swagger tooling and framework. The REST API in Meshery server is written in Go. So the tooling for documenting this API, the framework, it's Swagger. It's a Golang framework library. It's sitting here. You can see it on the screen. And there's a couple of make commands that will generate, so the API itself and its docs, it gets described in the code, in the REST server code, what each endpoint is and what it does. And we were just seeing an example of the initial, so not all the APIs are well documented, but between this tooling, us collectively going back and updating the code to describe what the APIs do, and then incorporating this tool, the commands for this tool into a CI workflow for each time that we make a release. There's any number of opportunities for any of you to jump in, either in creating a workflow to help run this, to generate these docs, jumping into Jekyll, the Meshery docs. So whoever's sharing the screen, if you can, if you go back to Meshery docs, let me share for a moment just to so here's Piyush's the pull request that we had that was just being shared. And by the way, Mert, did you have a question?
Yeah, not question, but I would like to say my progression about development, software engineering. Day by day, I'm learning how to write make file, how to build a project, whether it is Go or Ruby or any other. I'm just learning or remembering maybe the stuff that I need to contribute to the open source in here or and also in here layer 5. It's getting better in short.
Congrats. Good. And you're saying that that's in conjunction with time spent in the community, or?
No, I couldn't be able to run my computer um, day by day because I was having health issues, some sleep issues. But now I'm better, and I'm learning and ready to at least sharing technical chats in the Slack channel and give some feedbacks and contribute somehow day by day.
Nice. Oh, nice. Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah, if you don't have your health, what do you have? Yeah, it's tough. It's good that you're back.
Okay, totally agree about that. But now it's limited time.
Very good. All right. So back to the topic at hand. And Mert, if you don't mind, if you'll mute just because there's a feedback on your line. Oh, thank you. Good. So just to see this in action. So Piyush has done something that like 4 or 5 people before him either couldn't or didn't find time to do. And that is to finally go get the project set up with Swagger. And this works beautifully. So I was just, I don't know Swagger from a hole in the wall, but because he wrote a good issue and some descriptions about make commands and things, I'm able to go do this briefly. I checked out his PR. I did a make Swagger spec. I'm just guessing at the order make Swagger docs. Looks like great. The specs are being made. The docs are being made as well. By the docs being made, that looks like that's a single YAML file that falls into the data folder under the docs. Yeah, so if I go to docs, data, there's a data file, swagger.yaml in here. It's just a long YAML file that is the documentation. This is the API documentation. So then this data file gets picked up by something else that Piyush did, which is he went into the pages section. He went into the reference section and created, well, he did a couple of things, more than what I'm just saying, but he created a new layout for Swagger to basically go through and ingest that YAML file, read through it, and then to generate HTML around the, and like when I say he did it, I mean, he used an open source project to do that. And that's the most intelligent thing to do. And then, so he created this page. It's called reference/REST APIs. So over here, reference/REST API. So I get to the page, it's reading in part of the YAML file. And, because this is borrowed from an open source project, its coloring and some of its CSS needs just a little bit of tweaking, which, we will talk about on Monday in the website's call, or we'll talk about now. If any one of you want to take this as a challenge, there's CSS to be done. That's one challenge. The other challenge is there's a workflow to be updated that incorporates those commands to build, to produce that documentation each time. And then I think Piyush would tell us, and he'll chat us if this is true, that there's probably some of these endpoints that are still in need of a little bit of documentation about what they do. That lends itself, and so that's probably the third area of like where you can go get involved. There's a spreadsheet that's in the community drive. It's called Meshery API Endpoints. It's very auspicious in that way. It lists out the current endpoints and the fact that some of those are being changed to being restructured, reorganized, both for the get endpoints and the GraphQL endpoints. And so Dhruv Patel's name is all over this. Please go see Dhruv, go see Gautam, go see Adi Krishna. If you're interested in GraphQL and what's happening here, go see Piyush and Navendu if you're interested in what's going on here in the REST server or the REST API. These changes are going to affect Meshery CTL and Meshery UI. Yeah, Adi, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going through them.
Good. Good. Adi and Gautam in particular are likely to be helping ensure that that the GraphQL relay client that we're using in Meshery UI is being incorporated into various components, and these subscriptions are being managed and are being used. They are also like, there'll be some areas where we will just continue to use the REST API in Meshery's UI. But there may need to be some updates in Meshery UI as the endpoints change, as this one shifts from /config/sync to /system/config. Like there's a change that needs to be done. So both on Meshery UI and then in Meshery CTL, it only uses the REST API today, but any of the changes to the REST API that means code in Meshery CTL needs to be updated as well. So tons of opportunity in GraphQL, in Go, in React, and in clients and in servers to get involved. Also in the workflows. So there's a workflow for automating Swagger and building out the docs that we were just looking at that were generated around Swagger, Go Swagger. And then there's also the automation. There's also a similar framework for auto documenting the GraphQL APIs. And that, again, go talk to Dhruv about this. It's a GraphQL API reference that that is also, it's using a different framework, but it auto generates the GraphQL API docs. And so I don't think this is done either. It's in flight, but now these are being auto generated. So good. Get involved. Go see those two names. That was like the biggest call to action, I think, in this meeting was the fact that both of those, the REST API, Meshery CTL needs code Cove configured and et cetera. And it's not just for Meshery CTL, but then all of Meshery, that the REST API needs incorporated, the Swagger stuff needs incorporated into CI. And then the GraphQL, well, I don't think we have it called out separately here. Like this is, but that needs incorporated into CI as well. So Abhishek, are there open issues for this and this?
So there isn't an open issue, but it's going on in the current, like as a part of the current task.
Oh, we couldn't hear you.
Oops. Is it better now?
Yep.
Yeah, so basically it's on track with the current progress itself. There is no separate issue created.
Okay. So for anybody that, yeah, so there needs to be an open issue for incorporating the Swagger into a CI workflow. And I think Piyush is opening one. There needs to be an open issue for incorporating whatever builds the GraphQL documentation, incorporating that into workflow as well. Hence the volunteer needed piece. I don't want to put people on the spot. So yeah, if you're interested, again, Dhruv and Piyush. Back to you, Rodolfo.
Sure. Thanks. So the next topic is, I think, REST API. We already talked about this. I think the last one is to document the error codes from the CL, so, from the command line interface.
Cool. And so Abhishek, do you want to talk about this one?
Okay. So this is again a work that is under progress. I'll just quickly share my screen. So this is basically the, oh sorry, where did that go? Okay, so to brief what this is basically the task where we are creating a list of error codes for each and every error that we have in any of the components in Meshery architecture. So be it Meshery or adapters or any other component. So each of them will have a set of error codes that will correspond to some particular error with a suggested remediation and suggested remediation and probable cause. So basically, we are creating a utility tool that would generate code across all of the files inside one particular project. I'll point you to a particular PR which explains everything. Okay. Oh, sorry, not here.
I sent you via chat, Zoom chat.
Oh, you got, okay. Oh yeah, this is the one. So Michael is the one who's working on it, and he's basically drafted what are the what is the progress that is done in this utility tool. Basically, uh, we'll need to automate this part in each and every component to basically so right now this utility would produce a list of error codes along with their metadata. Now we'll need to generate this to an ND file format to be hosted as the documentation. And that is one area where the work has not been progressed yet. And we would like volunteers in there.
So a quick recap is there's a utility that auto documents error codes. Those error codes get published into the troubleshooting guide on docs.meshery.io. Did you show that already, Abhishek?
Yeah.
Okay.
So no, I didn't share that.
Oh.
The one that is hosted. Oops.
Oh, you're fast, Rodolfo. Rodolfo's got the link in the. Nice.
Okay. Great. So this is one sample where we have manually documented the codes, and this needs to be auto-published.
It looked like there was one that was done. Or was it the Meshery? There's a couple that were done under Meshery CTL. Oh, that's nice. Oh, I wonder who did that. That's great.
Yeah, this is done manually.
All right. It's just that I have to harass Abhishek because he and I have been just desperately trying to figure out how to get us to a point where he's doing what he's doing today, which is he's calling for assistance. He's saying, hey, there's this utility that will it actually reads through the code and the code classes in Golang, which is kind of cool what Michael has done. It will look for any place that the code is saying that there's an error. And because those errors are using the same framework, that utility will auto-generate these code numbers. I am repeating what Abhishek said, but it'll generate these code numbers. And basically it auto-generates code numbers and then auto-publishes a data file, just like what we were just looking at for the REST API stuff. So it'll auto document as well, which is awesome. And so many of you, as you just go to use Meshery, you're going to run into these same error codes. And if you're contributing and you'll be creating some of the error codes and you'll be the one saying the really important stuff, which is not so much the code, the error code number, it's what's the probable cause of the issue that's being faced. And even more importantly, like what's the suggested remediation to fix the issue? Like that's really helpful, you know, because like the first thing people are going to do when they get an error code, when they try to execute a command or see something in the UI, it's like error code Meshery 9002. They do a Google search and like, boom, like here's the answer. Like you're disconnected from Kubernetes or whatever the answer is. That's what a great experience. The reality is eventually those we'll have hyperlinks right from Meshery CTL. When some issue occurs and there's error code 9000, the hyperlink is like right there. Or in Meshery UI, it's like, yep, error code 9001. There's the hyperlink right there. And in Meshery UI, it could actually iframe it, or it could actually read from source and show it to you right there. You doesn't actually have to redirect you. It can just show it to you in the notification center. The notification center, you say? Yes, there's a design for an enhanced notification center, which is a design spec that, you know, if you're interested in, go see Michael Gefeller, one of the maintainers. It'll be pretty cool, actually. So the call to action is what? It is to someone to volunteer to create the workflow that runs this error code utility, since we're in the CI meeting. Any volunteers? And if you think about it and you want to explore it, you know, go see Michael Gefeller. He's the guy that wrote this, so he'll have lots of insight as to, you know, what the workflow would need to do. So we'll put his name into the meeting minutes.
Yeah, if you are not confident to do something that you are not familiar, I think you should take that and start making questions. I think is the only way to start learning. So please, if you want to learn how to do something, please raise your hand and we will help you. I think Lee has commented this before, but we none of us has the knowledge of everything, and this measure and all the open source project is for that, for learning and for contribute. So if you want to contribute to this project and start learning other things, please take it. If you can do it, there is no problem. We can move forward. But yeah, I think if you are not confident to do something, I think you only need to try that.
Well, Rodolfo, with on that note, since we have just a few minutes toward the end, do we want to talk about what everybody else is working on, or things that people are interested in, or does everybody just want the time back?
Sure, someone wants to speak about something. Okay, Kumar Prasad said that he want to try it soon, but needs some more insight from seniors. Yeah, let us know which issue do you want to start learning on, and we can help you. You only need to take one and start making questions that I tried to run Meshery, or I tried to run this test and it failed. And if you can post those questions in Slack in a public channel, it could be helpful for others to start learning from that. So uh, and Schumann, I don't know if there is an issue that you want to to start testing or to start working on. So if you don't know which issue do you want to take, don't worry. You can tell us in Slack later on once you dig more into the project. Okay, and Schumann said that he wants to try the CI workflow for REST. So I will write your name here, Anshuman. And Jubril said that we have time to discuss the Minikube tunneling issue. And there is a Minikube tunneling issue right now, Lee?
Yeah, Minikube. Oh yeah, Jubril. Yeah, Jubril. That's what happens when you don't add to the meeting agenda, Jubril. We got 3 minutes left. Like, it wouldn't make sense to even start that topic. Yeah, I don't know what to say other than in 2 weeks' time, this meeting will happen again, and like, I don't know. Yeah, Minikube tunneling. Like, yeah, I mean, Minikube tunneling will work. It's good, good to do anything that like we can always refactor, and so right now the action doesn't quite reach its goal, and if it reaches it and so even if it reaches it in a way in which is suboptimal, that's better than not reaching the goal. And so, yeah. Try kind, try to use kind if you cannot use Minikube. It might even be smaller. I don't know. I mean, that's another thing to throw in there is like kind or Minikube. I think those two will work for a GitHub hosted runner that includes Kubernetes. There's a lot of prior art out there. Lots and lots of other projects running Kubernetes and GitHub Actions, and so GitHub workflows. So go see what they're doing. Some that are right inside the scenes, right neighbor CNCF projects. Yeah.
Great. And also, Ayush said that want to contribute with the fixing CSS issues in the REST API documentation. So I wrote here your name, and please start reading the issue, the pull request, and if you have questions, please make them in Slack. And I think Lee, Abhishek, me, Michael will reply you if you need it.
Nice, cool. I'm totally pumped about Ayush jumping in. I said Ayush, but Ayush jumping into the CSS on in the docs, like based on the work that you've been doing. That's great. And then Jubril, I'm sorry that we didn't make it to that topic. I just, yeah, because it wasn't listed. But maybe we could have another session in between now and 2 weeks from now or something like. You've had to work through a few different hard things in GitHub Actions. Like, do you have a solution for running your GitHub Actions locally? A self-hosted runner locally? Because the GH, command line utility for GitHub, it lets you interact with GitHub hosted workflows and GitHub hosted actions. It lets you list them and invoke them and stuff like that. And that helps facilitating testing on GitHub, which is, maybe that's okay. Maybe that's quick enough. But Jubril, do you have a solution for local testing? Don't say Actos. Oh, okay. I guess Jubril's connection dropped. So, all right. Never mind.
I'm just listening and be careful to be better. Okay.
Thank you, Mert. Rodolfo, back to you, man. I guess.
Sure. I think this is all for this meeting. Remember that we have this meeting every other week or every 2 weeks. So if you have some topic to discuss between these 2 weeks, you can post it in the Meshery CI Slack channel, and I will be pending on that. So I think that is all.
Thank you, Rodolfo. Nice.
Thank you everyone, and see you later.
Talk to you later. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.